Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we're talking about the new Chantecaille Giraffe collection for spring 2022. But before we go any further, let's take a second to grab our iced coffee or hot coffee. Let's take a sip and let's get started. As you know, I have my online consulting service. So this is a one-on-one Zoom. Everyone knows Zoom now. So if you ever pick up any makeup and you're not exactly certain how to use it, a one-on-one consultation is great because I have a half hour and a full hour. So I can walk you through step by step how to use up what you currently own. So to make the appointment, just click the link in the description box. That is my website. All right, the Chantecaille Giraffe collection. So I got this gorgeous package in the mail from Chantecaille. Look at this beautiful giraffe and this box here. It feels like a jewelry box, like a jewelry case. It's very substantial. So thank you so much to Chantecaille for sending this out to me. So for today's video, we're going to do a full face of Chantecaille, a tutorial. I think I'll do 2 different eye looks just to showcase the palette, some swatches, some comparisons, all that. So if you're not already subscribed, please do so because otherwise you're going to miss out on a lot. So before I came on camera here, I did a bit of skincare prep before, filming like I always do. And I wanted to point out what I'm wearing today. This is the Chantecaille Bio Lifting Mask Plus. So this is the new generation of the Bio Lifting Mask. It is white like this. And what's interesting is I used the previous version of the Bio Lifting Mask. I liked it. I didn't love it. But the new formula here, I love completely. I've had it for a few months and I'm making a dent. I don't know if you can see exactly how far along I am here, but I am in fact wearing this today. You can wear it during the day with sunscreen, with makeup. It doesn't roll, it doesn't pill. I find this mask is very hydrating and cocooning. It just sort of shields me from the winter extremes and weather-wise, but it offers brightening and hydration 2-in-1, and they have like a peptide complex because it is part of the bio lifting mask. So you do see a smoothing, lifting, tightening effect as well. And what I like is that I can wear this during the day. Like I don't like it when this type of mask is only for the evening. I mean, that's nice to, do a little spa treatment at home, but some of us have stuff to do during the day and it's nice to have that same effect during the day when you want to wear makeup and it doesn't interfere with anything. So that's the base. Let's get into the makeup. So they sent me the Giraffe Eye Quartet here. This is 4 flattering earth-toned neutrals that mix and match to create rich, defined eye looks. Giraffes across Africa are quietly vanishing. We are proud to help give them a voice and a future with the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. Then I also got 2 of the lip cheeks here. These are 2 new colors. I have the shade Freesia and the shade Jasmine. Freesia is a flattering beige rose. Is it Freesia or Freesia? That's a type of flower, isn't it? I don't know my flowers very well, apparently. And then Jasmine is a neutral soft peach. Both of these have this like gorgeous pastel millennial pink packaging here, which I think is really lovely. And then last but not least, they also sent me here this HD Perfecting Loose Powder. Now at first I wasn't certain if this was a face powder or a highlighter. So let me go ahead and read off the information that I received. The HD Perfecting Loose Powder in Candlelight, that's the color that I have, is a shimmering featherweight loose powder that instantly highlights the skin with a warm candlelit sheen. So their favorite way to use it is as a highlighter or not, they didn't say highlighter, but as a way to highlight the high points of the face, like the cheekbones. So I'm glad I got some clarification because at first I thought it was just like a loose powder, which I don't think you would enjoy this as a loose powder, but time will tell because we're going to do a full face here. So as I stated with the eye quad here, the Giraffe collection, the Spring 2022 collection was inspired by the beautiful spotted coats of giraffes and the colors of the African landscapes and blooming flowers of their habitats. Maybe freesias are part of the African landscape. The Lip Chic and Eye Quartet were created to support the Giraffe Conservation Foundation and their work to conserve and protect the futures of giraffes in the wild throughout Africa. What's nice about the Giraffe Quartet is in the past with Chantecaille spring collections, we've seen more colors like purples, some slight green shifts, whereas this here looks like a beautiful neutral palette. I have the previous butterfly. I swear I said butterfly. I don't know what butterfly is. I know what a butterfly is. This is the Butterfly Quartet. This one here was more peachy. You did have some earth tones, but then you had this shade here that was like an iridescent, almost like greenish shade with like a little bit of purple. So more colorful. And then of course the Hummingbird Quartet, which had some neutrals, but also some pink and purple, whereas this giraffe one is really, sorry, that was pretty fast. This is the Hummingbird in the cool tone. I think this one had 2 palettes to choose from, or am I misremembering? But anyway, this one is beautiful too, but again, a bit more colorful, and I think some Chantecaille clients are definitely like more in the natural, neutral eyeshadow game. So here is your request for a more neutral palette. I'm gonna go ahead and do swatches again just for myself, and I will do 2 different eye looks just to showcase the palette. Again, here's a close-up of the swatches here. So we do have a nice mix of some cool and some warm tones, and some of the shimmer colors are more intense, like you have one that's a bit more taupey, one that's a bit more stark. So we've got a nice variety of colors here. And do you want to know a fun fact that's like a behind the scenes thing? When you do swatches, if your hands are dry, the swatches are not as good. So you have to make sure to moisturize your hands to get a good swatch. Now you know. Okay, so starting off with this color here, this is a matte. So there are 2 mattes and 2 more satiny colors. This here is a matte, more cool leaning color, like a cool neutral. So using a big fluffy brush, I'm going in with this. I did prime my eyelids off camera. There are Chantecaille eyeshadow primers. I like them, I don't love them, so I prefer to use my NARS eyeshadow primer. And as always, my eyeshadow brushes or makeup brushes are listed down below. This here is a Chanel brush. It's like the dual-ended blender and shader brush here. This is going on nicely. It feels and looks just like a regular, like soft matte color, and it's definitely neutral on me. It's a bit flesh toned, but a little bit darker than my actual skin tone. But if you're just looking for like a really good transition shade, I think this would be it here. Did I say that there were 2 mattes in this? That is very incorrect. There is 1 matte up here. This feels a little bit more like a topper shade. This is a very buttery satin color that's subtle. This here is like a beautiful, more high shine satin finish. I'm switching brushes here. This is the Chanel Definer and Smudger brush. Going back into that matte color, I'm just going to trace it under the lashes here to act as a sort of eyeliner. Now I'm going into this color here, the sort of brownie chocolate color that looks satiny, but it's not as intense. Like this one here is a bit more high shine and this one is more of a topper one. So this color here, I'm going in with the opposite side of my fluffy dual-ended Chanel brush here. It's really pretty. First of all, it's applying very easily. It's blending on really nicely and very smooth. There is a bit of fallout with this darker color here. That is to be expected. I always do my eyes first because of it. It's giving me like a dark brown with like a hint of a bronzy shade at once, like a bit of copper. It's a little bit reflective, but it's also very subtle. Like it's more subtle and more neutral and natural than the previous spring palettes we've seen from the brand. I'm just taking this same color from the lid here and also using it as eyeliner. Wow, this is a beautiful shade. I almost wish it was like a single, because I think you would really love it. It's just like neutral with like a hint of like copper, but you can see there's a bit of like shift, but like a very subtle one. It's not as intense and as, you know, as colorful as some of the previous collections. Like, I'm repeating myself here. Okay, now switching to the other eye, I'm going into this color here again with a more tapered brush. This here is the Refer 14, and I'm just going to place it in the crease here. Now I'm going into this beautiful taupey color here, and I'm going in with a Chanel dual-ended brush, the definer and smudger. So this one here, I'm going to be careful not to pick up too much product, because I suspect a little bit goes a long way. And with this one here, I also suspect that you could use your finger as well, just to press this onto the lid. In fact, I'm just gonna go ahead and press my finger into the shade just to see the difference here. I think if you want it to be even more intense, use your finger. Just pat it on the lid. This is going to be a little bit more shiny than this color here, obviously, as you can tell. But I don't know, in my opinion, everything has a time and place. Amazon, excuse me. What was I saying? Everything has a time and a place, even a sparkly, shiny eyeshadow. So there is a little bit of fallout here just with this more like pearlescent taupey color here, just giving you like a little close-up of the differences. Now I'm taking the same matte brown eyeshadow and I'm just tracing it under here. This is a Sigma pencil brush, E30. Okay, last but not least, I want to try going into this little white pearlescent shade with a very fine brush here. This is the BK Beauty 208. Technically it's a pencil brush, but it's really, really small. So I think it'll get into the corner here, and I'm just going to add a little bit. I just want to see what the difference is. It's definitely more white, like it's more cool tone, more pearlescent here. So we have two very different eyeshadow looks going on, but I'm going to go ahead and use the same mascara, the Longest Lash Fossil Mascara. Now let's move on to foundation. I have the Future Skin Cushion Foundation in the shade Nude. Then for the concealer, I have the Stylo Corrector, I think it's called, the Camouflage Stylo Corrector, and this is the shade number 3. It has this like peachy undertone to it, so it helps correct any dark circles. So while I wait for my concealer to set, if you're new here, always let your concealer set for like a minute. It just covers more. I do that with every concealer that I have. So one palette that I thought might be similar to this is the Dior Soft Cashmere palette. This here is just like a really beautiful, neutral, slightly cool leaning palette. So I'm going to go ahead and do a swatch of Giraffe next to this one here, because out of all the eyeshadows that I have from Chantecaille, I have a lot. I have a lot of them. The eye quartets, like the previous years, I don't see any similarities. I mean, they're just more colorful, like in that spectrum. And I have a lot of singles, like the luminescent eye shades, but the finish on those eyeshadows is very different. And I like, there's maybe like the shade called Giraffe, the single, not the palette here. That's like a chocolatey brown that could maybe be close to this, but also very different. Like, I'll give you a swatch, but the Giraffe single here is, I don't know, it's very different. I'm swatching this one here. I guess they're not like, well, no. They're like fourth cousins. Like, they're in that same brown eyeshadow family, but that's about the only similarity here. So I have a lot of the luminescent eye shades, but they're all very colorful and not the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch the Giraffe Quartet with the Dior Soft Cashmere. Okay, so on top, the first 4 colors are the Giraffe palette, and then on the bottom is the Dior Soft Cashmere. Honestly, there's not that much similarity. The only thing that's possibly similar are the two taupey colors, like this one and this one, like a taupey, silvery, beautiful color, but there's not really that much overlap. Even like the dark colors like this are clearly different. It's the same vibe, but just executed very differently. So if you have soft cashmere and you want to get this Dior quartet here, the giraffe one, go ahead. You're not going to get any overlap. Let me go ahead and swatch. I'm trying to think if I have any Tom Ford that might be close to it. Maybe Nude Dip, vaguely. Let me just give me a second. Okay, so Nude Dip is on the bottom here. There's really not anything close, like maybe these two-ish, sort of similar. But even like the lightest color, like this is really white, this is really yellow. There's really not any similarity, really. I mean, they're neutrals-ish, but if you have these palettes and you want to get the giraffe quartet, go ahead. Like, you're not gonna see like a duplicate if that's what you're worried about, so yeah. Okay, let me go ahead and blend this out. As you can see, it just covers so much more. Now for a bit of face powder, I'm going into my Hummingbird Perfect Blur powder here. Remember this packaging? This is so pretty. So the Perfect Blur finishing powder still exists on the market. It's just a different compact here. So I'm just using this one here, just a little bit like in the center. And then I'm going into some bronzer too. This is the Chantecaille Real Bronze in Sirena. Now, why bronzer? Listen, as far as I'm concerned, I am still in Barbados. This is just a dream. I am on the beach. This is not iced coffee, it's rum punch in my mind. So I'm going into some bronzer too. Now for the blush, I'm going into my Chic Gelée in the shade Vibrant. Remember last year or the year before when I attempted to pan this blush? It did not work. It did not happen. It's just really intense as a color. So a little bit goes a very long way. Okay, now let's go into this HD Loose Perfecting Powder in the shade Candlelight. So you have the cap here and then you have the brush with the product underneath. This loose powder here is very subtle. If you want to add a very subtle glow, like if you have maybe more mature aging skin and you want that candlelit glow but without looking too blinding and too much like makeup, this would be very, very subtle. I think you could like put this all over your face because it's not very intense. Like, it's very subtle. It's actually very beautiful. If you wanted like a no makeup day, you could definitely just like run this all over your face and you would just look, I don't know, like lit from within. And then we have the lipsticks. So the first shade, Jasmine, that's the more peachy color. It's a neutral soft peach. This peachy hue to me kind of gives me like a 1960s retro throwback, like that type of like Audrey Hepburn slight peachy color. That's what it makes me think of here. And the Lip Chic here has the same scent. It's like a vanilla cupcake here. I'll do a swatch here as well. So this here is Jasmine. I'm gonna go ahead and do some swatch comparisons later as well. And then Freesia is a flattering beige rose. Let me do a swatch first and then I'll go ahead and apply it on my lips. This is Freesia on the bottom. Freesia is described as a beige rose, and it's almost more like a pinky, cool, with like a hint, like a whisper of like a milky lilac, but I like it. I can't decide which eyeshadow look this goes with best, you know? I think there's 3 lip cheeks to choose from for the spring launch, and they're all in that sort of like very flattering nudie beige, some more pink, some more peachy, that sort of vibe. I think for this look, I prefer the second shade, but please vote in the comments down below. Now let's do some swatches. The first one that I could think of is Honeysuckle. This came out, I think, last year or the year before. So honeysuckle is on the bottom here, and it sort of follows the same like color family as Freesia that I'm wearing, but I think it's a little bit deeper, a little bit more saturated. I also have the Peach Blossom shade in the Lip Chic formula. I'm going to swatch it on the side here because I think it might be closer to the first color. Not really. Okay, I thought that Peach Blossom would be close to the first color that we put on here. The, what was it called again? Jasmine, the more peachy color, but it's not that close to it. And then I may as well swatch some more. I have the new Chanel Rouge Coco Baume lip. It's like a tinted lip balm. I have the shade 914 Natural Charm. I don't know if that's going to be close to anything. I mean, it's in the nudie, your lip but better family here. I'm just giving you swatches, giving you options if you, in case you have any of these at home. And then the last one is new from Sisley. This is the Phyto Rouge Shine, and this is the shade called Sheer Rosewood. So here we have Sheer Rosewood. So clearly I do like a nude lip because I have so many of these. Now, the last final touch has to be a fragrance. I have the Darby Rose perfume here. It's really beautiful. It's the box behind me, the pink box. This is what the perfume comes in this gorgeous case right here. So I just leave it behind me because it's very pretty. This eau de parfum, the best way that I can describe it is imagine on a really hot day, you're walking through a beautiful rose garden and you have the scent of all the roses and you're drinking a glass of like fresh lemonade. It's the perfect balance between floral and citrus, like fresh ripe lemons. And I think it's a beautiful fragrance. It's very feminine and it's really just a great perfume for spring and like a fresh light makeup look. Chantecaille now has all of their fragrances for sale in a kit, so you can go ahead and buy all the samples. I'm so happy they listened to me. I think 2 years ago I did a whole video talking about brands needing to sell their samples because especially for fragrance, it's really hard to blind buy a fragrance, and I for one am very willing to pay money to buy samples. My God. Wow, it's a wonder I get any work done around here. Anyway, I am so willing to pay money for perfume samples because I think it's worth it. And so now you can go ahead and buy Chantecaille perfume samples. You get the whole kit. I think it's every single fragrance that they have. So if you're interested in Chantecaille fragrances, I recommend buying the sample kit. Why not? Okay, so final thoughts. I think this palette is really lovely. If you are a Chantecaille fan and you haven't really been enjoying or feeling these more colorful eyeshadow palettes, I think they have finally listened to you. Chantecaille is definitely a brand. Like I have a lot of contact with them, like with head office. So if ever you have requests or shades that you'd like to see or want to come back, sound off in the comments below because they are very receptive. I think this is beautiful. I like this duality here. We have something much more natural and subtle. You could keep it a bit lower if you wanted to, but as you can see, it's a very beautiful natural look. You can create something a little bit more intense, but also quite fresh and quite beautiful here. I think the shade selection here is nice. The quality is there. It's very similar to the other palettes we've seen before, quality-wise. And formula-wise, I think it's great. The Lip Chics, it's the exact same. It has hyaluronic acid mixed in, so it's moisturizing and buttery. And I like these more nudie colors because they are more buttery and have a bit of slip to them. So if you put on a mask, because it's so nude, if it does, you know, go a little bit overboard, it's not that big of a deal. It's just like a nude lip. So overall, it's great. And I'm really intrigued by this Candlelit loose powder here. At first, I was like, it's too subtle, but I think it's really beautiful. It's very natural. So I think next time I have a no makeup day, I will just go like this and look very radiant. So that is it for my video. Sound off down below. What do you think? Do you like this new, more neutral, more muted eye quartet? I, for one, am happy to see it. I mean, I love purple. I love color, I love blue and green and all those things, but I appreciate that it's not for everyone. And even though I like those colors, I definitely don't wear them every single day. So I do really appreciate it. I think this combination here is maybe my favorite. Let me know which eye look you prefer. Do you prefer the more muted, coppery chocolate brown or the lighter, more silvery taupe color? As I mentioned before, make sure you are subscribed to my channel because I reuse my new collections a lot. I will definitely revisit this in the near future and mix and match it with like previous collections that I have. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure you have your notifications turned to on. And on that note, I think that's all I have for you guys for today. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.